So an example of what police officers have to deal with daily, coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reasoning. As always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. Really do. But, I've always said, and I will continue to say, that being a police officer is a very thankless job. It absolutely is. I mean, they get very little praise. They do their job admirably every day. You never hear anything, very rarely ever hear anything from most police. And they get no praise. They'll go out there and do something good. They will get no praise. The moment a police officer does something that the left doesn't like, such as shoot and kill a black person, even if you look at the case, it's like, man, that's open and shut. The police was in the right. They will still come out, get mad, demonize the police officers, act like the police officers are the worst in the world. Meanwhile, like I said, these police officers is something that they really truly can't do without, as we've seen with all this defund the police nonsense debacle. Yeah, go ahead and defund them. And I always say, when it comes down to defunding the police, you defund them, they'll be back with more money. But anyway, I want to talk about the example I saw of what the police officers go through. Now, this was an example of a female, and the police pulled her over for being in a reportedly stolen vehicle. And in true feminist female victimhood mentality, she went with the victimhood and the waterworks and the crying and trying to explain why she's in a car, she's in a stolen vehicle. And of course, the police officers, if you watch the video, I'll put a link in the description, they weren't buying it at all. Anyway, but they didn't think that this woman was a danger. So they put her in a police car. I mean, they put her in a passenger side, the front seat of the passenger side. They didn't handcuff her because she was going to be arrested for being in a stolen vehicle, or at least questioned and interrogated for why are you being in a stolen vehicle, reportedly stolen vehicle. Well, she made her way to the driver's side and attempted to try to steal the police car. She did. She drove off. Police officers followed her. They finally caught up with her, and this time they weren't lenient at all. Again, this is a perfect example of things that police officers have to deal with. You try to be lenient, right? Like they did with Breonna Taylor. They didn't exercise a no-knock warrant in her house because they didn't think that she'd be a danger, and it ended up costing her life and a police officer being shot. Meanwhile, at the trap house, no one was harmed, and they got all the evidence, incriminating evidence that they were looking for because they exercised no knock warrant. But anyway, they didn't think that this woman would be a danger, which is typically the case with women. And she could have liable to kill somebody. She drove off of that car. She could have killed a police officer. Okay, she could have drove that car and killed someone else. And what would the people say? Well, y'all let that woman go. They should have dealt with her. Okay, police officers trying to do their job is painless as possible. Now, I like to deal with the idiots because I know the race hustlers are going to come out. They're always looking for race hustlers. Now, what they're going to say is, oh, that's only because it was a Karen or it was a white female. They'll say, well, that was a Karen. It wouldn't have did that for a black female. That cop punched a black female in the face. And of course, they're talking about that incident that took place in Walmart with those ghetto ratchet females acting ghetto and ratchet. The police officers had to be called. One of the females reportedly pepper spray people. But that behavior that you see, again, I'll post a link in the description of that video as well. That right there is typical ghetto ratchet female behavior. You only see that behavior among ghetto black men, thugs, because they know, hey, we can't act a fool like this when police are around because they're not going to be that lenient with us. And police officers aren't going to be that lenient with men in general, not just black men. Anyway, the reason why, as we all seen, the reason why the cop punched that black female is because she attempted to try to bite him. And I guess for him, that was the last straw. After being patient with these females, and they were, extremely patient and lenient with these women, far more than they would have been with any male. But anyway, I guess after an attempt to try to bite somebody, like I said, police officers have their patience. I always say it's a it's a calling, as Brandon Tatum said. But these police officers, they have their patience, and they were patient with these black females. Now, all the people who say, well, look what they did to the black female. You notice that Karen, quote unquote, wasn't resisting arrest. She didn't resist arrest until she jumped in the car and ran. And at that point, there was just as I would say ruthless against her as it was against these black females. After them repeatedly being unruly, destroying property, knocking things down, and then you have the black females coming there egging on the black idiot black male talking about take off the badge, all that foolishness, while the police officers out here trying to do their job to apprehend ghetto ratchet nonsense. So don't get mad at the police officers. Get mad at the ghetto ratchets. And that situation could escalate to something happened to a police officer. Again, the police officer was about to be bitten. So again, this is an example of what police officers go through every day, daily, and as soon as they do something wrong, it's the police, these evil police, like they fund the police. That's as a police officer, you could be working on a job for 5, 10 years. You didn't have no situation, and all of a sudden, a split-second decision can cost you your job, your career, your freedom, your very life. So, if people don't praise the cops, I do, because I know they do a thankless job. That it takes a certain temperament in order to be a cop, and I would probably say most people probably don't have that temperament. At least half the population don't. It just can't. Everybody can't be a police officer. And like I say, everything that they go through and get very little praise. It's kind of like you don't miss it. One of those things that you don't realize what you have until it's gone. But anyway, just thought I'd give y'all an example of what police officers, an example of what the police officers have to deal with out there. And as always, 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 y'all, until next time.